These are Bluebeard's other wives.
This is so ridiculous.
Part of me does not believe this.
Part of you does not believe it.
Well, remember, this is a folk tale, so it's almost certainly not true.
Right.
These were written.
I was mostly joking when I said part of me does not believe this. This is not true. I have a brain.
These stories were written to be cautionary tales. So
Teach a story. Teach a lesson.
right.
That's what we're trying to say.
Right. So, a couple days later, Bluebeard comes back. Now, mind you, she keeps cleaning that key, and every time she turns around, it's bleeding again. So,
You can tell.
Is a keyophiliac.
Ouch.
He comes home, he asks for everything back, including his keys, and then he says, "Why is there blood on this key?" And she's like, well, I must have cut myself and it got on the key. And he's like, huh. He wipes the blood off and another drop appears. And he's like, or you unlocked the one door that I told you couldn't unlock and saw what you weren't supposed to, and now I have to kill you.
Okay, well.
And so she falls down in a fit, begs for forgiveness. He will not give it to her. She has to die. And so she knows her brothers are coming to visit her that day anyway. So to buy herself time, she begs to be allowed to pray before he kills her. And he's like, fine, I'll give you some time to pray. And so she lets her pray for a little while, and then he goes to her room. He has her, kneel down, put her head on the bed. He raises a sword so he can cut her head off. And about that time, that's when her brothers show up and put an end to him and his foolishness. And then later they go through the house, they take his money, they spread it among the family. Everybody lives happily ever after.
And there was much rejoicing. Except
Bluebeard, who got done in for, he did murder his wives, but he didn't really do anything to her, is the point.
He was gonna!
Dad!
But she married him for the money. She wasn't happy that there were conditions that came with the money. She did the one thing he told her not to do, and was surprised that things went crazy. I just, I'm not saying that he didn't deserve what happened to him.
Hey.
I'm just saying, it seems kind of an excuse to kill an old guy and steal his money. Because they didn't know he was killing wives before then.
Okay, let me say one thing real quick.
What?
Hear that silence? Hear that silence?
Yeah.
Know what it's called?
What?
Beauty.
Oh boy.
Also, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
I agree. 2 wrongs do not make a right, but that was kind of my point. Yes, he did horrible things, but she did kind of bad things too.
She kind of did.
Now,
just marry him for his money.
Now, to my way of thinking, if you were to put them both on the scale based on their bad deeds, yes, his outweigh hers by quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Christianity and the way God is supposed to see things, they'd be dead even. Because they both sinned.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll give you that.
I mean, being a serial killer to your wives isn't like... I just want to know why he would kill all of his wives, even the first one. Don't know, but okay. Guess we all have different points of views.
His beard was blue, and they never explained that in the story either. So, sometimes you just gotta let these things go.
Just blue beard. Yep.
So, and it could be worse, he could be paying the dowry for street women and become the patron saint of prostitutes. Oh, wait, that's Santa Claus.
But
Are we gonna go back there again?
you're gonna make me upsetty spaghetti. Don't do it.
Don't make our Krysta upsetty spaghetti.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make Krysta upsetty spaghetti. But!
There's a but.
Oh no.
I think we should take a brief moment for a word from our sponsors.
Okay.
It wasn't that interesting.
It was.
I thought so.
Oh, so interesting.
So, now, I have to admit, these next few stories I did not find. I did not track them down. Who? Laura did.
Hey, I did some research.
So, she did some research and found some more stories for me.
I did.
Now, this story is
Yay,
Chinese.
We all did research.
So it's a bit convoluted because Chinese and Japanese stories tend to be a little convoluted.
Yep.
In China, the storytellers claimed that immortal spirits had preordained marriages and attached couples with invisible red thread between the couple's feet. That's how you wound up together. The storytellers also shared precautionary tales of various people, including Wai-Ku, a young man who strove for a good life despite his humble orphaned beginnings. So this is almost like Chinese Aladdin, which I guess Aladdin was kind of Chinese anyway?
No, keep reading.
While all of his own efforts were serving him well, he also desired to find a highborn wife. During this time, marriages tended to be arranged by couples' parents, however, and Wai-Ku, being an orphan, of course, lacked this avenue at his disposal. When he was 26 years of age, a friend intervened on his behalf to speak to a senior colleague regarding the marriage pact for his beautiful daughter. The night before the critical meeting, however, Wai-Ku could not sleep and ventured out to the temple to pray. It was through this fateful trip that he came across an old man sitting at the temple steps reading a tome that Wai-Ku was unable to decipher. Curiously, Wai reached out to the stranger, questioning him, and the tome he read. There was some surprising conversation. The unlikely pair came to the introduction that Wai-Ku had indeed come upon the god of marriage this very day, and that sadly his future nuptials with the colleague's lovely daughter were doomed. To soften this disheartening fact, the god of marriage did, however, offer to let him gaze upon his own destined bride, who was yet a child of 3, and he would have to wait a long 14 years to wed. Wai, out of curiosity, agreed, and the god of marriage led him through the streets of the city into the marketplace where the simple merchants placed out their wares to earn coin to etch out the existence through the days. It was on this trip and in this humble area that the god of marriage pointed out a grubby toddler clutching to an old woman's skirts as she lay out vegetables she had to sell. Wai was horrified at the thought that this destitute child was destined to be his bride and begged the god to allow him to marry the young woman that the talks were currently in regards to. He was of course denied as the old man showed him a pouch of tangled red thread and announced that one of them did indeed intertwine his future with the young girl to be wed. The old man faded away into the crowd, leaving him shaken and disheartened Wai-Ku to this day. It was later that very day that Wai was informed by his friend that as predicted, the wedding talks had broken down and a marriage pact was unreachable. Feeling desperate and able to take the thought of his foretold destiny, Wai hired out an unsavory fellow to do away with the child, thus severing the marriage and freeing his destiny to do something else. Okay, I have to pause here. This is a bad plan.
I agree.
She's 3. Let her grow up a little bit.
I know, right?
Maybe you'll like her once she's older.
I don't disagree with you. I feel like he was definitely not in a good frame of mind there.
Also, why just the looks? What are you doing? You need to know somebody's personality before you say, nah, I don't like him.
Well, maybe
with
she
these
wouldn't
people?
like him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Anyway.
Feeling desperate and unable to take the thought of his own foretold destiny, he hired an unsavory fellow to do away with the child, thus severing the marriage tie and freeing his destiny for something else. What else? When the god of marriage says, you're going to marry this person, and you go, fine, stabby, stabby, stab, I don't think he's under any obligation to replace that person.
I agree.
If you think you're gonna replace that person, you know what? You're just gonna die alone, honey. No one's gonna love you ever.
The assassin came to him a few days later to advise the deed had been done with blood still wet in his blade, and why, feeling terrible remorse, did take some comfort that the deed was done. What an ass!
I agree.
Gonna have to bleep that one out.
No, I can say ass. I can't put anything after it, but I can say ass. I could be talking about a donkey.
Yeah, he is definitely a donkey.
Donkey.
The years slipped by, as they do.
They do.
And it was 14 years later that the fortune shined on Waiku, and he finally was blessed with the bride he had waited so long for. It was a custom in this day that the couple not set eyes upon the other until the union was completed. So after an even longer wait through the ceremony, at last in the marriage bed, Waiku removed the veils from his bride and, in surprise, saw that her lovely visage was marred by a gray streaking scar crossing across her brow. When he asked her about it, he was shocked at her story, which told of a time when she was young that an assassin came upon her and attacked her with a dagger, but he was unable to complete his murderous mission. For his final wife was indeed the girl that the god of marriage had proclaimed to him all the years before, and even the assassin's blade could not cut the invisible red thread of destiny.
'Cause frick you don't even deserve to marry her!
No, he doesn't. He really, really doesn't.
Oh, why can't these people just be freaking...
Well, again, these that we're in now, we're deep in what we call in modern day fairy tales, but they exist to prove a point.
Right.
The point in this case being the guy's an ass and shouldn't have done any of the things he did.
But destiny is destiny. That's what they were going for here.
Right. Now, from China, we go to Italy. I don't know why. We can't get any lasagna.
It's stories.
I know, but I'm just saying, if I go to Italy...
The story was based in China, and now the next one's based in Italy. Do you want to know the story or not?
Oh, I'm going to read the story. I'm just saying, if you take me to Italy, I'm going
to tell you.
I want lasagna
because you're screwing it all up. This one's really sweet.
You want to tell the story? Tell the story.
I can tell the story.
Go ahead, tell the story.
Okay, so this is the story. This is a story that
she's getting into my Enchanted World book.
I am.
The Lore of Love, which, by the way, if you can find them, they were made in the 80s. I highly recommend the Enchanted World series. I use them all the time.
And they're beautiful books. They really are.
I like the little golden dragon designs on them.
Yes. Okay, so this story was based... this is a tale that was based out of Italy. And this is based on the tale of the pot of basil.
Oh, interesting.
This is the story of Lisbetta, who was a beautiful young woman who lived with her 3 brothers who were merchants. And as it was in this time, given that they were respected and wealthy merchants, they did want to make sure that their sister made a good marriage, and so they kept her very proper, and they kept her in their home, and they didn't let her out into the streets or let her among other people because they had not yet found her an appropriate match. So she unfortunately sat in the house, as girls did back in that day, and just kind of watched life going by. She didn't get to go out much. She didn't get to do anything. There was no, sock hops or